On the left hand side you can see Tom. He is working with Carly. Just here in front of me, this is Dan, and he is working with Akasha. And over there on my right we've got Ben, and he's working with Adira. And further along you can see Pete, and he is working with Kiko. Now, all four tigers are all females, they're all about 20 months of age, and they weigh between 100 and 110 kilos. And at 20 months of age, they're still learning the behaviours that we're trying to get through here today, and you'll see for yourselves, some are better than others at the various behaviours. But if they do get up and do things that you like or appreciate, then please feel free to get behind them, make heaps of noise, clapping, shouting, screaming, whatever. But the more noise that you can make, then certainly it encourages the tigers and gives us a bit of a boost as well. But just before we do get into it, you can see the guys have pouches on, and in those pouches they've got bits of horse and chicken meat, as well as milk and frozen milk cubes. So it's using those food treats. They will hopefully be able to encourage the tigers up and about and into those behaviours. But I've certainly given everyone enough time now. The hands look like they're ready. Hopefully our tigers are ready as well for our first set of behaviours, which all involve milk. And the first behaviour that we're going to ask them to do is a nice simple one. It's what we call a sit-up. And there we go, the two orange tigers straight in. How about a big round of applause for that? That's very cute, as you can see. Carly over there with Tom, you can see she thinks the sit-up is just holding the paw up. So feel free to give her a wave back as well. Kiko, on the other hand, she hasn't quite got it at all. So we've been trying not to actually do the sit-up at all with her, and we're just going to start from scratch and probably do a bit more work back of house. So it does take a little bit of time for them to work out what we're asking to do, and occasionally if you reward at the wrong time, or a tiger thinks they're doing the right thing, like Kiko over there by holding a paw up, she thinks that's the behaviour. So for a comedy value, we're quite happy to go with that. We're not going to ask her probably to sit up, but the other two, the two orange girls, and certainly Kiko over there, was a bit more time work with her, and hopefully get her into that sit up. That's the way. You guys are great. But the sit up, it is very cute, but I can assure you it's a very natural behaviour as well. It's not just something you do for us, but normally you see them doing it against the trunks of trees, that sort of thing, and they're just checking out the scent marks by other tigers. But apart from sitting up, the other thing they'll do against the trunks of trees is rise up on their back feet. So the guys are going to, well, the two orange tigers, we'll get them up on the guy's shoulders, there we go. And the two white tigers, we'll actually get them up against the trunks of the trees at either end. And that's where you normally see the tiger doing this behaviour. Again, it gets them to the more out of the way scent marks, they get a little bit higher up the tree, but also gives them the chance to rake their very sharp, powerful claws across the tree, which leaves not only a visual mark with scent glands between their toes, will also leave their own scent up on the tree. So it's a very important way for them to be able to leave their own mark and communicate with other tigers. Being solitary animals, it is important, especially as they become adults, that they do avoid any conflict, because if they do come across each other and they do get into a fight, then typically, you might have seen it from these guys today, if you've been down here and they've been play fighting, they'll square off, they'll get up on their back feet, freeze up their front paws and strike out at each other. They can knock that opponent to the ground or drag them to the ground. And so that's a behaviour that we also ask the girls to do out here for milk. Unfortunately, it's really only Adira just over here with Ben who has worked it out. Akasha, when she tries, she tends to just go into a sit-up and be a bit lazy, but Adira, there we go. Have a giving her a big round. Oh, well. Short but sweet, hopefully Ben will try that again. It does take a little more strength and coordination, so that's why Adira at the moment is the only one of these younger tigers that is able to do the behaviour. The others either haven't quite worked it out, or like Akasha, I think, we're asking to do that sit-up again. Adira is certainly doing a good job. Now, if the cubs are fighting, not a problem. They're not really meaning too much about it, they're not too serious. Adult tigers, however, if they get into a fight, we do need to break those up, because they will cause a lot of injury very, very quickly, not just with their claws, but also with their teeth. And to show you that our tigers have all of their teeth, the guys are going to get them up the front now and give you a look at their very large and impressive canines. Now, 20 months of age, these guys have still got a little bit of growing to do, so they're not, well, those canines aren't their full length. And typically the adult canine will be about 5 to 6 centimetres long, and the root of each of those canines also extends about that length into the skull, so very strong, very powerful teeth. But we might finish up with those teeth behaviours. About a big round of applause again, guys. They're all doing the best that they can at the moment. And what we're going to do now is step things up a little bit. We're going to get out the horse and the chicken meat, which usually we get a little more enthusiasm for, especially from Kiko over here. We're going to get her to do a little bit of jumping across these platforms. You can see how keen she is. She's leading Pete to the platforms. And there you go, as easy as you like across there. And Pete will move her back and forward a few times. So you'll get a good chance to get some photos, but also side on, you can see how much they use their tails, not just as a counterbalance and stabiliser, but also as a bit of a momentum flick to help them with the jump. And Kiko's lost that bit of meat, so she might, oh no, there we go, luckily. You get a bit of an idea of how quickly they move as well, and they're quite explosive. They can get up to speeds of about 60 kilometres an hour and do that within about 3 seconds. So Pete's going to try and get Kiko to get a bit more speed, hopefully get a nice big jump. Oh, kind of a jump. Well, that was a fight stance for the jump. Well, I had to give her a small round of applause. In the meantime, though, Ben's going to stop mucking around. He's going to get a Kasha over there, a deer, I should say, up on the platform. He's got a few jumps with her as well. But in both situations, with both Kiko there and Adira, you'll have noticed, even though they can make that distance quite comfortably, and the distance there is only about 3 metres, tigers have actually been known to jump distances of up to 6 metres. You'll see as easily as they're doing it, they are only going from edge to edge. They're not actually putting in any more effort than they really need to, and that comes back to that explosive, powerful nature. They don't like to waste any energy unnecessarily, so they're only going from edge to edge. And we'll just get Adira down there, give her a bit of a round of applause. She probably, yeah, she probably doesn't do the jump, she just stares blankly and hopes that the meat will fall in her mouth. Meanwhile, back over here on my right hand side, Dan's ready to go with the Kasha. Nice big piece of chicken. We'll get her to climb up this tree for you with any luck. Now, most people aren't aware that tigers are able to climb, and certainly early records people didn't think so because of their size, but as you can see, they are more than able to climb and they do it very, very well. But the best thing about all of these cats actually is that all the cats we have to do the tree climb at the moment is that they have a sense, just like Akasha's going to do, to climb back down to a nice safe height before dropping to the ground. In the past we've had some tigers that just jump off from wherever they are, so we can't even take them too high because it is a long way down. But highlighting the strength in these big cats. How about a big round of applause, guys? She has done a good job of that, and hopefully certainly gave me enough time to get a few photos as well. Now what we're going to do is move on, I guess, to a more specific training task, and that is what we call mark training. Now plenty of zoo facilities do it, we do it just with the mark boards, and all we're asking when we do it is that the tigers move over and put their 2 front feet on these boards. So you can see it is pretty simple. They've all pretty much worked it out now, and especially because of the meat reward, they're pretty keen to get those paws on the board so they can get the food. So it is a very simple training method, but training that means we can then in the future have the tigers involved in television work and commercials and that sort of thing. So it's through that TV work that we're able to raise money for and awareness for our Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation. So for us, it's a pretty important bit of training because of that work. And the Dreamworld Wildlife Foundation supports organisations that work in the field in both Sumatra and Russia in the form of anti-poaching patrols. And the role of those guys is not only about education, about the fact that the body parts of tigers are of no benefit medicine whatsoever, but also about the need to preserve their habitat. And just on that, if you're not aware, the tigers' population has gone from around 100,000 just over 100 years ago to only over 3,000 today, and even now we still lose about 1 to 3 tigers each day because of that habitat destruction and poaching. So those anti-poaching patrols, like the guys up here on the screen, and this is one of the teams that operate in Sumatra, and a couple of boss went out with them quite a few months ago now, just out on patrol. What they'll do, they'll go into an area for about a week at a time. They'll find an area that they're going to cover. They'll go through there looking for areas like this of that illegal logging and habitat destruction, but also as they go through, obviously if they come across snares like this one here, they are going to dismantle them. But in both situations, just trying to work back and find the people responsible and have them prosecuted, or as I said earlier, certainly at the very least educate them about the need to preserve the tiger's habitat. Now, a serious job, a tough job, one that they wouldn't be able to do without our support. And it's work that you may like to help us with as well, you certainly can. Probably the easiest way, just spin around and have a look over there at the front of the shop. You see that we have a large donation box. So through that donation box, we would invite you to help us out with tiger conservation by simply putting a few coins there at the end of the show. Now, while that's the serious side, I know certainly not what you've come here to see. You're more interested in seeing the tigers do some pretty cool behaviours, and we're certainly always keen to see them do that as well, especially these younger tigers who haven't quite worked it out. So what we're going to start, or what we're going to finish off with, we're going to try and get Akasha to do a nice high jump off the logs over the other side of the platforms. The deer, on the other hand, she's going to demonstrate just how well, or how much tigers do like the water, and certainly how well some of them can swim. So Ben's going to start off with just getting her wet. These kind of cooler months, she She needs a little bit of encouragement, and once she's a little bit wet, then certainly she'll get in